It's Friday, the 8th of January 2021, and it's time for Boris's Best of British Bulletin, episode 25, with me, DaviePHD. You know, the thing I regret most about these bulletins is the actual events that inspire them. I know I try to give them a bit of satire, give them some light relief, but these things are all happening. Now, before the fun begins, we all know what's happened in the USA over the past couple of days. So it would be remiss of me not to mention Donald Trump. So I have, and hopefully that's the last time I'll ever have to mention the orange walloper in my life. I'm now going to treat him with the contempt he deserves and never utter his friggin' name again. If he comes up, I'll refer to him as the orange walloper. In Scots Unionist news, it's now 8 days since Northern Ireland have started to benefit from the different Brexit trade deal they got to the rest of the UK. Rather unexpectedly, it's also 8 days since neither David Mundell nor Baroness Ruth Davidson have tendered their resignations. As you may remember, both notable Tories said that such an outcome would trigger their resignations. It's almost as if we can't believe a word they say, nor a promise they make. Does anyone remember when our unionist chums told us that independence would cause price rises, huge queues at ports and the borders, food and medicine shortages, and losing our EU citizenship? Anyone? Anyone at all? I wonder if the Indy Ref 2014 result would have been the same if we all knew that voting no would mean exactly the same thing. If only someone had the foresight to predict this bellendary. Oh wait, someone did foresee it.
The risk to Scotland's European membership is not independence, it's the in-out European referendum that the government of which you are a part is proposing.
Yet another piece
That's
of negative
the risk
scaremongering
to
from Nicola
membership
Sturgeon.
of the European
They've
Union.
been saying this for days now. They want to try and pretend
You
that
said
if we
on
stay as
Sunday-
the United Kingdom, we will be out.
You
We've
said
got
on Sunday,
three
Alistair,
parties.
that you
Just please a
couldn't
second,
guarantee
Nicola.
that
Are we
Scotland
going
would
to
stay in
stop
the
this?
European Union. Oh, come on, you can hold your own, surely. You don't have to keep appealing
I'm
to
sorry,
Rona.
but
Come on.
I'm trying to play by the rules, Nicola.
Okay,
I think you should as well.
You can hold
Alistair
your own,
Carmichael,
surely.
I'm sure I can hold my own, but I'm trying to play by the rules,
Okay,
and I think
Alistair.
you ought to as well. Now, what we've got in the United Kingdom is three party leaders, Nick Clegg, Ed Miliband and David Cameron, all who say that they support the continued membership of the European Union. The
But you
only
can't guarantee
guaranteed way of leaving the European Union is to leave the United
Alistair,
Kingdom.
you went on television on Sunday and in direct response to a question, you said you couldn't guarantee Scotland's continued membership of the European Union if we stayed as part of the UK because there's going to be an in-out referendum. We could find ourselves in the position. We can find ourselves in the position where the UK as a whole votes to come out and we vote to stay in and we get taken out against our will. You can't possibly defend that.
Everybody else is wrong on European Union membership apart from you. So
Whatever became of that woman? Maybe we should all listen to people like her in future. In UK Unionist news, well, I have to give an honourable mention to Sir Keir Starmer, the Labour leader. We often complain about the Tories having nothing but contempt for the SNP, our Parliament and Scotland in general, but you haven't seen anything yet. I don't often use Fitbar analogies, mainly because I fucking hate Fitbar. But if Jacob Rees Mogg was a fair Fitbar player like, say, Gary Lineker, then Sir Keir Starmer has most unexpectedly gone full Vinnie Jones, coming in for a nasty tackle on the Scots with his studs up. See this tweet from the BBC News where Sir Keir Starmer proposes a positive alternative to the Scottish people. Now hang on a bit, I know us Scots can be a bit dour and a bit droll and maybe even sound a bit negative at times. Guilty, but there's no need to resort to ethnic cleansing. Maybe, Sir Keir, if you could just persuade Boris and Co to stop being such dicks about everything, we might be a bit more positive about things up here. As predicted, Channel ports became gridlocked in the week running up to Christmas, with tailbacks for miles going along the M20. Freedom of movement became freedom to hardly move at all, and then after 4.5 years of saying that we, the plucky United Kingdom, are going to end freedom of movement, it was terminated 11 days early by the French. Yes, as the UK's latest raft of COVID half measures proved as ineffective as the first ones, the French moved to end freedom of movement early, on the 20th of December, closely followed by, well, everyone. To be honest, I was just glad to see the rest of the world impose the kind of lockdown on us that Boris should have imposed in the first place. The Salvation Army and the local Sikh community stepped in to ensure that the 3,500 stranded truck drivers, not 174, as Boris reported, at least got a hot meal. All joking aside though, aren't the Sikh community just lovely? Every time something like this happens, there they are, handing out free food. The Sikh community are going to win my inaugural Lovely People Award. Compare that to Kent County Council, who went round giving all the trucks parking tickets. Yes, they win my very first Squad of Cunts Award. Getting back to business, Nigel Farage was fucking fuming at the French, tweeting, "We're dealing with thugs and bullies who want to make us sign a bad deal." Going on, "Time to walk away. To hell with the EU." Now I'm genuinely confused by this, as France, a sovereign country, decided to close their borders in their own self-interest. Isn't that what Nigel Farage campaigned for the past, well, fuck knows how long? Apparently not. You see, that was different. Those rules were only supposed to apply to other people, you know, foreign people. Didn't those froggy twats know that we're British? Well, Brexiteers, it appears that you most certainly can be part of the European Union and control your own borders. Who'd have thought that, eh? But unlike the UK government, Monsieur Macron was able to reach a reasonable compromise, opening the borders to vehicles and people who had been COVID tested with a negative result. In Brexit news, well, it's done. Properly. Finally. Boris and his team got a deal. Transition is over. We're out on our arses. Boris, that renowned master of detail, has told us all how we will benefit when he went on the telly to talk to Andrew Marr. Substantial amounts of money coming back into the country as a result of leaving the EU, he said, like an excited puppy. Now, I'm not sure which money he's referring to here. A great deal was made in the EU referendum campaign about contributions to the EU budget that would no longer have to be made after Brexit. We were making our regular contributions to the EU budget right up to the end of 2020. We're still paying money to the EU as part of the divorce bill, along with contributions to pensions for EU staff. The Office for Budgetary Responsibility expects that the UK will be contributing about £7.1 billion this year, down from last year's contribution of £8.2 billion. So, is the UK actually £1.1 billion better off already? No. While tariff-free access has been granted, the additional customs checks are going to cost an estimated £15 billion annually. So based on this alone, the UK is £13.9 billion worse off already, and we're still about 150 trade deals short of where we were last week. It's all going so well. Next up, one of the first things we did on day one was get rid of pulse trawling. Now, for people who don't know, pulse trawling involves the use of an electric current to force fish off the seabed, making them easier to catch. And this was indeed banned in UK waters on the 1st of January 2021, as Boris said. But France and Belgium, both EU member states, had already outlawed the practice. If Britain was so annoyed about it, the UK government could have banned it while we were still in the EU. Added to which, an EU-wide ban also passed into law in June 2019 and is due to come into full effect on the 1st of July 2021. There are 8 pulse trawlers operating in the EU, 7 from Holland, 1 from the UK. So he has banned 8 fishing boats from working for 7 months, even though he could have done it at any time before the 1st of January. We didn't actually need to leave the EU to do this. Next up, he told us, we'll be able to ban these huge hoover trawlers that come in and hoover everything up off the bottom of the sea. Mr Johnson is likely referring to super trawlers here, as hoover trawlers isn't a widely recognised term. Super trawlers are typically defined as vessels over 100 metres in length. 25 of them fished in UK waters in 2019. Most had a Russian or Dutch flag, except one vessel, which sails under a British flag, but is majority Dutch owned. Now that the UK has left the EU, it can indeed ban super trawlers from fishing in UK waters. But under the terms of the Brexit trade deal, this rule must apply equally to UK boats and EU boats. But this is further complicated by a section of the agreement which secures access to the UK's territorial waters between 6 and 12 nautical miles from the coast for any vessel active in those waters between 2012 and 2016. This applies to several of the aforementioned super trawlers. Due to that, the UK Marine Management Organisation has already granted temporary licences to at least 7 super trawlers, 6 of which are registered in the EU to continue fishing in UK waters beyond the 31st of December 2020. So, in the first week, Boris has banned 8 fishing boats from working for 7 months and cost the UK economy £13.9 billion. Isn't this going well? Tune in next week to see how much further we've regressed. In August, Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that a post-Brexit border down the Irish Sea would happen over my dead body. So it should come as no surprise to anyone that a new trade border between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK began operating at 2300 hours on the 31st of December, with the first post-Brexit ferry arriving in the early hours of New Year's Day. It means that most commercial goods entering Northern Ireland from Great Britain now require a customs declaration. Now, this may be amazing for Northern Irish businesses exporting to Europe, and it definitely puts them at a commercial advantage compared to their mainland counterparts. But not so good for consumers. Check out this screenshot of an Amazon receipt for a purchaser in Northern Ireland buying a small item. Customs checks within the UK. Sainsbury's branches in Northern Ireland are now stocked with over 700 Spar products, as just-in-time delivery of essentials like milk and eggs, etc. are now taking longer. They have to stock their shelves with something, don't they? But it's good to see that Brexit hasn't derailed the Westminster chumocracy. The wife of Government Minister Nadhim Zahawi is now the owner of a newly incorporated medical company. Lena Saib is listed as the owner with a 75% shareholding of a firm called Warren Medical Limited. The company was incorporated on the 10th of June 2020 under the name Zahawi Warren Limited, before being changed a day later to its current title. Zahawi is Under Secretary of State for Business and Industry, but due to the pandemic he was also appointed as Under Secretary of State for COVID-19 vaccine deployment. The Ministerial Code stipulates that ministers must ensure no conflict of interest arises, or could reasonably be perceived to arise, between their public duties and their private interests, financial or otherwise. Now, this is not the first time a government minister has faced scrutiny about their business links, particularly during the coronavirus pandemic. A firm with links to the family of Health and Social Care Secretary Matt Hancock has been awarded a £5.5 million contract for the provision of mobile testing units. The government awarded a multi-million-pound contract for the supply of test tubes to the ex-landlord of Matt Hancock's local pub. In November, Kate Bingham, married to a Tory MP and outgoing chair of the UK's vaccine task force, faced questions about whether she would personally benefit from a £49 million taxpayer-backed investment into a fund run by her private equity firm. She'd also showed government-classified materials relating to vaccines to an online investment conference just prior to her departure. Has anyone seen John Penrose MP, the government's anti-corruption champion? I think he's got some work to do. Now, we haven't seen or heard from Dominic Cummings for a while. Well, it now appears that he's willing to turn on the Prime Minister. Writing in The Spectator, journalist Robert Peston says that on 2 occasions in September, Boris Johnson was urged by Sage, who were backed by Cummings, to have a circuit breaker lockdown, but this was vetoed by the Prime Minister and Rishi Sunak. Apparently, an important cause of the breakdown of relations between the Prime Minister and Cummings in the autumn was that the PM was aware that Cummings thought he'd fucked up by not having a lockdown in September. It's understood now that Cummings would give evidence on oath about all this to any future public inquiry. But what is really significant about this story is that it was broken by The Spectator. Dom's wife, Mary Wakefield, is commissioning editor of the magazine. Well, folks, that's it for this momentous few weeks. Momentous, but still crabby few weeks in Tory Britain. Which leaves me with one question. Are you yes yet? Stay classy, Scotland. DaviePHD.